Good morning. Today I want us to discuss a relatively easy subject which will not take much time, which is identity. Now, in Buddhism, there is one very popular question that many tend to choose while they meditate or while they learn to meditate. What is that question? Do you know what it is? No? Okay. I'll give you a hint. When you meet new people, what is the first question in mind that you have for them? The question that can be worded differently, but it's still the same question. What is that question? That's the same question we ask ourselves when we meditate. And the question is, okay, I hope you got it right. It is, who am I? Who am I, or who are you? When we meet new people, the first thing we want to know, who is this person? Yes, we can ask also, where do you come from? Oh, have you been here long? What do you do? Do you have a family? How old are you? Where did you grow up? What do you like? What do you choose to do in your free time, and so on? All these questions point to one major question: who is this person? I want to know who they are, because you need to position them somewhere. Often it is positioning them below or above you, or perhaps, in Asia with age and hierarchy, like Thailand, Korea, it's a lot about below or above. If the person is older than you, they automatically go in the above category, and you need to use the polite language to them. Same happens in Thailand, not so much in the Western society, but still, if you know that, this person has a better job, or drives a nicer car, or has more money, then you would probably slightly in your mind put them somewhere above you, because this is what you want to achieve in life. So they have already achieved that what you're dreaming of, so they are ahead in a way. I don't have this above or below ladder, it's more like different. Right, okay, so if they're taller, if they're older, if they have a bigger car, that does not mean that I am below them. I choose to talk to everybody on an equal level. Be it a child, I don't think that I'm above the child. No, okay. My friend's son is 4. I love talking to him. And there is a lot to learn from a 4-year-old. If you have children, you know that sometimes they say these things that strip all the dust, all the ideas that we have acquired to the bare truth, to the bare innocence, to what we should see first and not what we think we should see first. So, identity. Have you ever asked yourself a question, who am I? A simple question. Well, you know who you are, you don't have to ask this question now. Let's do this one little exercise together. Who are you? Answer it in your mind. Who are you? Lena is asking you. Now, if you are like me, you would probably think, well, the answer depends on who is asking. You see, if I'm an employee looking for a job, I will say I am this reliable team worker who respects the authority and does his best. To the best of his ability, uses his potential, is very hardworking, and so on. Now, if a woman asks you, who are you, you might say, well, I'm this caring, noble guy who is lonely and who is looking for his second half, for romantic dinners and walks on the beach. Yeah, you might say that, but you wouldn't say that to your employee. So the identity has different sides. It has the social side, it has the working side, the personal side, and so on, but it's still you, right? Now, what would you say to yourself? Who am I? When you ask yourself, the information is actually not heard by anybody, not read by anybody, so you can be honest. You can truly strip it down to what you really think. You don't need to have it all packaged and coated and think about what the other person might want to hear. Who are you? Answer it to yourself. If I'm asked this question, it's not an easy question at all. You don't know where to start. I don't know where to start. I was thinking that we should start with the physical, because we can be identified with the physical body. This is what what other people see us as, see with their eyes, touch with their hands. Physically, we are in a male or a female body, which isn't much options, right? So it's either one or another. And unless you're a ladyboy and you have both, but that's rare. And then we would go to the age, to the height, and to the eye color and hair color, which is meaningless, more or less, right? Skin color, height, what difference does that make? It does make a lot of difference. Sometimes when I wear high heels, it doesn't happen in Samui, but it does happen in other countries. When I wear high heels, my height becomes that much more, right? And the eye level changes. And you would be surprised. If you're a male, you don't know what I'm talking about, unless you're a cross-dresser. But the eye level changes and you see things slightly differently. So height does make a difference. The way you look at people. You see now the camera is on a chair, which is about that much below my eye level. So you're looking at me from a height of a 3-year-old. Yeah. If you're about my height, which is 163, you're looking up to most Westerners and on about the same level to the Eastern people, to the Asians. Because women, commonly, like Korea, Thailand, are about the same height. So this is equal eye level as well. It does make a difference. And when I'm traveling in Europe, it's more of that kind of look rather than this kind of look. You have to slightly raise your head. And gives you a neck pain at the end of the day when you spend too much time with a person who is much higher than you and you try to make eye contact all the time. This is the angle that you are not used to. So height does make a difference. It is part of their identity. Now, physical identity has to be updated often, because the dangerous thing is that we think that we are who we were sometime before in our lives, when we were happy with the way we were. We've talked about this before, like saying, I'm a sporty person. I used to play basketball in high school. That kind of identity. My Thai friend tells me that he loves football, loves to play football and basketball and whatever else. And I met him a few months ago, so when I see him and look at him, it's like, you can play football? He's a fat dude now. He didn't used to be at the time when he formed the identity of himself as a sporty person. But anyway, now, 10 years later, 8 years, it is 8 years, I did ask. 8 years later, when he hasn't exercised for those 8 years, a person who met him now and hears, I'm a sporty person, think like, where are you sporty? In which place of the body are you sporty? Because you look like a big teddy bear to me now. Or to not make it sound really cute, a pig. Yes, because he hasn't looked after himself, so it's like sporty. When was the last time you played soccer or basketball? It's like, yeah, when I was back at school. It's like, oh, I see. The identity still stayed. And we are fooled by our own beliefs that are the beliefs of the past. I am a healthy person is another one, often used by my dad, who used to be healthy 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and that identity stayed. What will the doctor say when he checks his blood test results now? He'll say, well, this is a person with a lot of health problems, of LSD, lifestyle diseases, and so on. That reality, yet in his mind he's still a healthy person, but somehow all these things happened out of nowhere, and I don't know what they are. They're probably temporary. We don't want to accept it, we don't want to believe it, because it's not as good as what it used to be. So physical identity has to be updated. I'd like to think of myself as a slim person, but lately I've been hearing, Lena, you've gained weight a lot. It must be all the durians, I don't know, but round. My stomach is still flat, but it's not as flat as it used to be, apparently. And maybe I have gained weight. I don't have the scales, so I can't really tell, but it's not the best thing to hear. It's a shock. It's like, no, I don't want to hear this. I'm slim, because this is what I like to believe I am. But, you know, habits, day-to-day, nice food, durians and whatever else, it leads to changes in our physical identity that we don't notice, and we tend to ignore. We still think like, well, I'm a slim, young, beautiful girl. And another one is with age, the age identity. We do not catch up with the time. We do not catch up with the age usually. Have you met people who still behave as if they're 25? It shows a lot with guys, like when some fat old fart comes up to you and says like, hey, you want to have dinner together, with this confidence of a good-looking 25-year-old or a 30-year-old, and you think like, oh, okay, yeah, right, I think I'm busy, and they're surprised and offended by your rejection, because they still have the confidence of who they were, of the young person. And especially in Thailand, when a lot of young girls will have dinner with a guy like that. Why? Because it's like a job to them. So the reality is distorted. You choose to believe, you hope to believe, and you want to believe that they are with you for your looking young and I don't know, just like, sure, she doesn't know my age, or she thinks I'm looking good still, and so on. And you don't want to believe that, hey, they're there for my money. And anyway, that's another subject. We're talking about identity, right? Identity, physical identity, age identity. How old are you now? With me, it takes like 30 seconds to think of how old I am, because I never really think about age and don't talk about it too much. Plus, coming from Korea, you know how we calculate age differently? Yeah, we do. Like in Thailand, they calculate years differently. So I was born in 2524, if somebody in Thailand asks. And then you can convert it to the European style when it's 1981, or American style. But still, age is something to catch up with. And be happy at the age that you are. You know, there's a beauty of every age. There's a good period and good period. There is a good thing about every period of your life. Yes, and a baby, it's great to be a baby, because you don't need to do anything. You just lie there in bed, and people, you know, feed you, they play with you, they say, how cute. You don't need to do anything. You can poo, and people will still say that you are cute. All you need to do is like, bleh. Oh, that's adorable! Say bleh now, and who's gonna say that you're adorable? What if you poo? That's not gonna be loved by your mom. It's like, oh, that's so good. Okay, there's appropriate behavior for every age too, and perhaps a baby and a 30-year-old is not a good comparison, but you can see with the graphic example, of course, that I love, that what you could do when you were 5, 25, 35 and 65 is different. What you could get away with, what is appropriate, and what is not socially appropriate but age appropriate thing to do. I'm doing a lot of the age inappropriate things, like looking after the health a bit too much, and I noticed that most of the people who can identify with what I'm doing with green juicing and this are at least 20 years older than me. At least 20, usually 30 years older than me. We have a lot to talk about. Suddenly it's like, yeah, this green juice and this and giving up this and adding this into your diet. Yes, and looking after this, of a bit of exercise here and there, sleeping early, yes. Who cares about nightlife? talking to a 25-year-old or a 35-year-old is more difficult on those subjects. So I think in certain areas of life I am a little bit ahead of my age. Why? Because of examples of people who go through all the suffering later in life, and think, why didn't I do it earlier? When I see that, why didn't I start earlier? When I hear that, I think like, yeah, well, I can start earlier, so that later, whatever might come, at least it will not be a lifestyle disease. We cannot save ourselves from disease, we cannot save ourselves from viruses, but we can help it. We can reduce our chances by having a stronger immune system, stronger heart, clear, pure blood, and so on, and stronger body, right? This is what I advise you do too. You can't save yourself. There is no guarantee that if you don't eat junk food and drink alcohol and smoke, you will stay healthy all your life and live till 100 years old. 120. No, of course there are different things that can happen, and they do. And they do. Like, you know, the friend who had a motorbike accident last year, she had not a single filling in her tooth. Now I was thinking, yeah, that's really good. That's a good achievement. I wish I could say the same. I wish I could do the same and take care of my teeth earlier, as in not eat candy and so on. And when she had the motorbike accident, all the teeth got knocked out, and she had to have false teeth, right? Not false teeth, crowns. Now, what is the difference? The result is the same. She has crowns as if she would have had cavity in the teeth. But okay, that's a case of faith. Whatever is there is supposed to come, but at least you know that if you don't eat sweet stuff and white rice, you will not get diabetes. No, you will not. And if you regularly check your blood and your blood sugar is all normal, there's very little chance, probably none, that you will have like diabetes. And if you don't eat salty food and fat food and your blood is pure, then very likely, and you can manage stress, that you will not get high blood pressure at the age of 60 or 70 or 50. Okay, love talk about health, but today we're talking about identity. So, we're done with physical identity. Let's say update your identity and do not be blind to what it is now, rather than saying, oh well, I am that person who I used to be, but now something's happening which I don't want to accept. Accept what it is now. Look in the mirror often. Look in the mirror. Yes, I have some wrinkles under the eyes, and yes, my face skin is not as firm as it used to be 5 years ago or 10 years ago. That is the age. That is normal, and that is me. This is my identity. I don't look 25, and I don't look 10. I don't look 5. I am at the age where I want to be, and I'm happy with the state I'm in. Important, acceptance. Now we get into the spiritual and mental identity. Having moved countries and having lived in different cultures, I noticed that we can change our identity, that we are not who we were necessarily if we choose not to be who we were. What we say to people, what we present ourselves as, is what people will think of us, because people, they do not have the time and do not have the desire to know what life experiences you went through. Yes, perhaps some, but not that whole chain of events, environment, friends, partners, whatever experiences that you've had in the past 30 years or 40 years of your life. That's too much for anybody to take, and that is your identity. So are you going to take them, well, I was born in this hospital from this mother and that mother, in that village, in that town, and I weighed 3.5 kilos, and this and this and this, and my parents when I was 2 did this to me, and then I got that from that age, and 3 years old I had this and this, and like, oh God, please stop. Just tell me who you are. And this is when they ask, oh, so what do you do? Where do you work? Common questions to place you, to to reveal your identity. Where you work does not make you. Where you work can be a result of many different circumstances, right? Where you can work now, where you worked 5 months ago, or where you worked 5 years ago. How can you define, let's say, this person by where I work? I've worked in all sorts of areas. In design, yes. In TV, yes. Interviewing people, yes. As a translator, yes. Interpreter, okay. What else? As a strawberry picker, as a matter of fact. Yes, I used to pick strawberries when I was 15 in a supermarket. Which is the same person. Yes, she is a designer. No, she's a reporter. No, she's a strawberry picker. She's none of that. That is some activity that she chose to do for a period of time to make money. And who knows what's going to be next here in Thailand. No, I'm not going to be a prostitute or a ladyboy. Although that would be nice, but I don't have a poopy, so no ladyboy. The easiest job for Thai ladies is... I'm not gonna go there. Okay. But yes, a translator is pretty much what it is probably going to be. Why? Because I want to meet people, I want to talk to people, I want to discover some cultural differences and study the language in depth. So that more or less points to go and translate for other people. You're going to learn and you're going to help other people. And if I do go, then probably will be no time to record the videos, which is sad. Because I wanted to make this my job. I wanted to make talking to the camera my job. I think this would be ideal. But both will not work, because this takes a lot of time. When you have to worry that, oh, I gotta make the juice, go do the yoga, and I gotta get dressed and go to work. It's not gonna work. Plus, when you come home, you're tired, you want to have dinner, you want to meet your friends, and there is no time to check emails or line or the website or the forum, and so on. Limited amount of time, we all set priorities. Back to the identity. The job does not define you, your spirituality. What does? What questions should we ask people to define their spirituality? And this is where I experimented in our website with the questions. I did not ask how tall you are, or what your eye color is, or what city you live in, but I did ask you what your goals are, what your dreams are, what your habits are, and so on. I think our habits, I love the word habit. I used to spell it with 2 B's for years, until one of you told me it's actually 1 B in habit. Confuse it with the word hobby. Hobby, habit. This sounds similar. In fact, there should be 2 B's, right? Anyway, habit. The habit defines you because that is something that you repeat over the period of time. So I like to get straight into people's lifestyle and ask them, what do you usually do? But then, okay, nobody answers honestly, really, because people, they want to highlight their good habits and hide their bad habits. And our brains work very well in the concealing way. We don't want to highlight to ourselves that we are lazy, or we want to sleep in on weekends. We say, well, I get up really early. But you forget to mention that twice a week. And the rest of the days I kind of slept through and stayed in bed, snuggling with whoever, and, you know, oh, the neighbors are, I think it's like fried potatoes, and it smells divine. Oh, that smell, it's good you can't smell it through the camera because it's so good. Green juice for Lena. No potatoes in the house, but there's durian. Identity, yes. Trying to stay on the subject. Hey, we have to get it straight, right? At least in one video. We don't want to stretch it and leave it unclear. Mental identity. Your job does not define you. What you do, although a job can be called a habit, but it's more a necessity. So I don't think that one is defined by their job. One can be defined by their job if they've worked in their field for a very long time, because it becomes a part of you. This is what you do. This is what you do. Like the father of the house, he is a gardener. Not a gardener who trims trees and grass, but the gardener who plants trees and looks after the garden and picks the fruit and sells the fruit and so on, and vegetables. And the way he talks to nature, the way he understands nature is amazing, because this comes from his job. This is part of him now, so I can say that is his identity. But what if he changes the job? What if he chooses to make easy money and go and work as a guard in a hotel? He'd be accepted, he's reliable, he doesn't drink, no smoke, can say a word or two in English to the guests. What is he going to be? Is he going to be still a gardener or a guard? How will other people see him? I'd say do not judge people on what they do. Do not judge people on their job, but ask them about their lifestyle, about the thoughts that they have. Our thoughts define us, and thoughts are not the thoughts that were there in your head 10 years ago, or they might have been, but usually the identity is something very organic that changes shape every single second of the day. Identity is not set. Identity is not the place where you were born 40 years ago, 30 years ago. You're so far away from that. Everything in your body changed. Everything in your mind has changed. There is no way to cling to something that happened in childhood, something that happened a long time ago, 10 years ago, or even 10 minutes ago. You are starting from zero every single now, giving yourself a new chance. The nature gives you a new chance to start a new life every single moment. And whatever you are after this now is up to you. You don't need to drag anything from the past with you. It's your choice. Why is this important to understand? Because a lot of people think that that event from the past, and usually pick not the best event they could pick, is part of us. We went through the parts. Yes, we went through the events. Just like when you swim down the river, you go past the storm, you go past the waterfalls, and you swim through it. The waterfalls are not part of you. The waterfalls were waterfalls. The storm, the rainstorm with hail, was the rainstorm with hail. It passed. It was before. You passed some landscapes that were not so pleasant. Maybe houses getting burned, people getting killed, but you've passed that. Now the landscape is whatever you choose it to be, whatever you see it as. It's the field of flowers, or the dirt. Under the roots of these flowers there is dirt. You can choose to look at the top, whether there's a bright yellow or red flower, or you can choose to look at the bottom, at the roots of the flower, bugs, worms and dirt. Ooh! Whatever you choose to see in your life, you're going down that river, swimming, swimming, swimming. Maybe you're in a boat, whatever you choose to be if you don't like to swim in the river. Maybe there are crocodiles. We're always afraid of the crocodiles. The more you're afraid, the more you're in the middle of the boat, afraid to move and look what's out there. Well, I'll give you an example that life is like a river and you've been through the waterfalls, you've been through the storms. You say, yes, there has been some storms in my life. There has been some storms in everybody's life. What is in nature can be found inside you. And we have storms. Storms do happen to us. But there is in us. Now, what happened to you when you were 10, when you were 13, when you were 5, when you were 20 or 30 was a storm. Or might have been a good sunny day that you remember. But usually we bring these storms and put it into our identity. Believe it, your identity is formed now, every single moment. You are who you think you are and who you say you are to other people, and who you project yourself to be to other people, who you choose to be. Ooh. This is what line sounds like. Oh no, this is cacao. Okay, spiritual identity. That is just like mental identity. It's not the university you went to, it's not the job that you have. It is what you choose it to be, what you say you are now, and what you believe you are now. You can say that your job is or is not part of your identity. Your job can be a necessity. Your job can be something you do to pay rent, and that isn't part of you. Or you can say, yes, I think that I'm a born engineer or a born teacher, and I really enjoy doing that, and that is part of my life. It depends how you make it to be in part of you or not a part of you. I sweep the floor every day. I don't want to say that I'm Lena the floor sweeper, yet this is something that I do every day. Why do I do it? Because it's a necessity to keep the house clean. And so on. Now, what can I add to this to sum it up for you? Don't need to sum it up for you. You can sum it up for yourself, right? Right. And next time, when you tell something about yourself to other people, when you write it, when somebody asks you at a party or in the office questions about yourself, think about your answers. Are you giving the answers on autopilot? Perhaps something that you came up with years ago and it's still, yeah, I'm an outgoing, people-loving girl, and yeah, I like sports, and I'm shy, and whatever else you want to find, whatever else you made up. Change it, flip it upside down. I'm quite introverted, and well, it's up to you what you change it to be, but try to play with the idea that you can be who you choose to be and who you say you are. And other people, they will take it for what you say it is. And you're not lying. You're not lying. Sometimes you're introverted and sometimes you are a people's person, an extrovert who just can't shut up. It depends on how comfortable you feel and how you feel. If you want to talk, you're an extrovert. If you don't want to talk, you're an introvert. Or you can be lazy and choose, well, I'm a Gemini, a typical Gemini. Huh? The other day I was looking in a Thai newspaper and they calculate your star signs differently. I'm actually a Taurus, according to Thai calendar. Right in the middle of Taurus. And this idea is very new to me, that I'm not a Taurus. Everybody has always told me, oh, you're a Gemini. Okay, oh yes, I think you are. And now I'm a Taurus, and I read the Taurus horoscope for that week. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. We like to see things that we want to see. And we pick things, our brains pick things that they like. Yeah, sure, the horoscope, 90% of it was bullshit, and 10% matched. I must be a Taurus. And I read the other horoscope, truly believing that I'm a Gemini. I think, that is so me. That is just so like a Gemini. Very relative. How many times did calendars change? And in different countries, hey, you're a Taurus here, Gemini there. Who? Year 550, 2557 now. Hello from the future. See you in another 200 years. After a while, staying in a certain environment, when you hear 2014, it's like, wow, World Cup 2014. Is that last year? Oh, that's now. Right. Getting back to the old reality. I wanted to show you something today. Now, there's a fruit from the tree outside. It's huge, right? I thought you'd never. This is the first time I ever seen it. It can be eaten with some chili sauce. Didn't dare to eat it yet. But look at this thing, and it hangs on the tree like that. Like something from science fiction movie or Avatar. It's the sword of the alien. Ooh. Fruit. See, so there's a bit of entertainment in this too. Thank you for listening and sacrificing 35, almost 36 minutes of your time today. I appreciate it that you do listen to Lena's blah blah. But now you've seen a very pretty Thai fruit, which probably I have not seen before. Maybe you have it in your country too. But some people have seen it and they don't have it. And Lena just can't turn the camera off. Carrot juice time! But spirulina first. This was all drunk this morning. Love spirulina. Still have half a jar left for your information. Bye bye.